in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm black, I'm on TV. I was there. I'm walking around with a bullseye on my back.
I am Grant from Screen Rant. How you doing today, Coleman?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
You have a very handsome gentleman right over your right shoulder.
You know, I had to show some love, and I had it sitting on the shelf right there. I was like, I should show that off for this
thank
chat.
you. It's a very different guy from Muncie Daniels, isn't it?
Very different, and a very different tone altogether. I gotta say, I'm 3 episodes into the madness, and I'm hooked. I love your character. I love this sort of world that it's, you know, this rabbit hole it's taking us down. And in talking about Muncie, though, I love how he's not quite the skittish paranoia that we might see from someone like Michael Douglas in the 80s, but you can always tell the gears are sort of turning in his head at every moment. What is it like not only achieving that energy but maintaining it for an 8-episode production?
I would say it started with my director and my showrunners, Stephen Belber, VJ Boyd, and Clement Virgo. We were very clear about how we're going to set Muncie up and really make sure that he's a very measured guy. He's more pragmatic. He's not actually, I think part of his evolution is to go to the place to actually like let something affect his heart and be triggered by it and make a decision. But he's always thinking and slow moving in a way. So that's what I love about the series. I think episode 1 is a bit of a slow burn, but then it starts to ramp up. It really is the psychology of where Muncie is right now. He's sort of in this really sort of nebulous place where he's sort of very centrist in his views. He's not truly active, but his discovery is going to take him down a rabbit hole that I'm sure he would never want to go down, but he has to, because it's also going to liberate him. And, you know, he's going to liberate himself from the madness in many ways. So I think that was a very conscious thing to watch sort of this. He is the eye of the audience, and he is the narrator that you can depend on. But now it's just like looking at all sides of the world and how they're perceiving him, you know?
I like that you were very conscious, you and your showrunners and director were very conscious of that, because that really does just add such a great layer to the show. And so in talking about sort of the rabbit hole, though, you do have to get quite physical in this show, as well as we see, like you mentioned in episode 1 right out the gate, and I'm sure in the episodes to come. What was it like, you know, getting into that side of things, and again having the sort of consciousness of who this character is versus, you know, someone like Victor Strand, where they're a survivor and used to that kind of fighting?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's funny you mentioned Victor Strand, because Victor Strand he was always very scrappy. He wasn't really like the most athletic person, but he would just like do what he needed to do to survive, to pick up any sort of anything. And now I had to actually go into some jujitsu training for Muncie Daniels, because that was something that he did as a hobby. So I love that was underneath his core, and he was doing things like that. Trying to stay fit, going for runs, being, physically astute. But he didn't know that he would need this to actually be active with it and save his life and his family's life. So I think that's what's really cool. I loved the training. I did some training for like 3 weeks with Jiu-Jitsu Masters in Toronto. And I didn't realize, really, I always thought I would drive by Jiu-Jitsu places and think, ooh, that's intense. I would never do that. And then suddenly I have to. And I was like, oh, I understand. It's all about energy and using your body in different ways. So I love it. It's really, I understood why they made a choice that Muncie does jujitsu, because it's like you have to think ahead and you have to actually think and use someone else's body and manipulate that in order for you to succeed. So I thought that was interesting, that he was learning those skills, but he didn't know he would need those skills.
It really translates so well. And again, it's another great conscious decision on everybody's part. So I love that you landed on that. I see I'm coming up on time. So I did just mention Victor, but I mean, it's crazy to think that a year ago today, was when the series finale of Fear the Walking Dead came out. And I'm curious if you ever look back on Victor and sort of think about a potential future for him in that universe.
First of all, that's wild, because literally I was with Kim Dickens and Alicia Debnam Carey last night. And we had no idea that it was 1 year ago that it aired. That's wild. It was an unconscious celebration. But I think that I never say never, but I think that after 8 seasons in the arc of Victor Strand, I sort of like squeezed everything out of him that I could. I think the only way that Victor Strand could exist would have to be in his own universe. That's what I think. He couldn't be a part of the franchise. It would have to be solely about the world that he's building, because Victor is someone who can keep transforming, and that's what I really loved about him. But right now, he sort of transformed to his cousin, Muncie Daniels, and I'm cool with that.
There you go. I love that. A great way to sort of carry that torch on for yourself. But yes, regardless of what happens with Victor, I look forward to spreading the word about the madness. Like I said, I may only be 3 episodes in, but I can tell I'm going to love the rest of it, and I can't wait for people to see it. So thank you so much for Colman, for taking the time. I truly do appreciate it.
Thank you.
You think I'm making this up?
We're not going to end up arresting you for this, are we?